Get ready to uncover how schools manipulate students' thoughts, stifle their potential, and how politicians steal money in the future of America from kids. Welcome to the JV Soul Show.
Welcome back to Operation Anti-Indoctrination. I'm your host, JB. I hope you're doing real well today. I hope you're doing real well. We're going to be having a bit of a casual show today, very casual, just sitting back, relaxing a little bit, talking about some news. But you know, sometimes you have to build back up again after last episode, which was a little explosive. I suggest if you have not watched that one yet, you go watch it. We're gonna be probably putting up a little key card on the screen. But I have to build back up my energy. It goes in cycles. It's the big, massive explosion of my energy about the school system, and then we have to build back up for another 3 episodes or something. By the way, episode 99. This is pretty interesting. This is pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Didn't think I'd get this far. Didn't think I'd ever even do it. I mean, we had this crazy idea for a podcast. And we're like, well, let's give it a shot in a year and 2 months, because that's about the speed we go at. So, took a while. It sure did take a while, but it's been a lot of fun. We've gone through a lot of different phases of the show. I think I've improved a lot. I think I've improved my speaking skills. I think this show's improved my social skills in real life or something like that. I don't know. Not that they were not that they were terrible when we started or anything, and now they're great. But it's all very interesting. Anyway, we have a couple stories today, and then I have got to get into some of the school system stuff. We're going to get into some of how they dumb you down and the results of that. But first, we have some stories here. So this first one, we have college professors let loose profane criticism of Pence during a VP debate. You probably remember that. You might have watched it, where Vice President Mike Pence went up against Vice Presidential hopeful Kamala Harris, the one who wanted to extend the school hours to 10. So, you know, I'm a big fan of hers. As you could probably, I'm a big fan. You know, 10 hours of school a day. That'd be great, wouldn't it? But anyway. We have some professors here who tweeted some very nice things. So we have Siri Along, PhD. By the way, she's got her pronouns. She wants you to know that she is a she/her. She has her pronouns right there. So, you know, you can't call her just so you know she's not a dude or a helicopter or something. You got to call her she/her. So during the debate, she tweets, LOL, Pence talks about his Christian faith. The devil, Satan, Lucifer, the serpent, that deceived I, the father of all liars, should be taking lying lessons from Mike Pence. Unquote. Very nice. By the way, she's very unbiased in her classes. She wants you to know that she does not discriminate in her classes against conservative students. She wants you to know that. 100%. Completely unbiased. And then you have another professor here. Let me see. I think Colin College. The other one was from Lehigh University in, I think, Pennsylvania. And this one is from Collin College. Let's see where that is. It is in Collin College is in Texas. So this professor at Texas, who I believe teaches history, says she retweets somebody who says Mike Pence is a scumbag, lying son of a you-know-what to talk about playing politics with lives. And she retweets that. LD Burnett retweets that, saying this too. So she's a big fan of Pence. But obviously, they want you to know, Burnett here wants you to know that, quote, throughout my entire time I've been on Twitter, my conservative students and my liberal students, my Christian fundamentalist and my Islamic fundamentalist students, my liberal Christian and my liberal Islamic students, my Hindu students of various political perspectives, and my atheist or agnostic or pagan students have always been comfortable in my classes, as my teaching evaluations from the past and current employees can attest, unquote. I'm sure. Right. She's better than that. She's better. She is better than to inject her agenda into the classroom. She knows better. Right. Sure. All right. So now we have from the Mathematical Association of America here. Great. We have a declaration from them that apparently math is racist or something like that. So first, let's see here. So they say that this is a statement from the MAA, the Mathematical Association of America Committee on Minority Participation in Mathematics. And they go on a little tirade about how racist we all are. And they say that, let's see this. So they say that the Trump administration has unleashed racist policies like not teaching critical race theory and not wanting the 1619 project in schools, the horrible, the regressive, evil 1619 project in our schools. And they end up by saying this. They say, quote, "It is time for all members of our profession to acknowledge that mathematics is created by humans and therefore inherently carries human biases. Until this occurs, our community and our students cannot reach full potential. Reaching this potential in mathematics relies upon the academy and higher education engaging in critical, challenging, sometimes uncomfortable conversations about the detrimental effects of race and racism in our community. The time is now to move mathematics and education forward in pursuit of justice," unquote. Yeah, right. So basically, math is unjust because it was created by humans. So I guess math is biased against black people, I would assume, or Hispanics or something like that. Okay. Yeah, okay, great stuff there. Look, if you want to say something about what's going on, I don't care that much, other than just virtue signaling, and you obviously don't really care that you don't really care. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea that math is racist. But right now, what I'm kind of thinking is really basically just really, bro? It's kind of what I'm thinking. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Doesn't really the cogs are not turning right in my head. That must be it. It must be my inherent racism. My inherent because I'm well, first of all, I'm an American, so you know. But anyway, one more here. So we have from the Washington Free Beacon. Maryland's Montgomery County Public Schools District is requesting a system-wide anti-racist audit to determine whether it is doing enough to help students resist systems of oppression. Ooh, systems of oppression. Ha ha ha. Maybe they should use themselves as an example. Maybe they should use themselves as an example of a system of oppression. Not sure, but you know, I think they oppress a lot more people than anyone else does. Their school system, but that's, you know, we'll get to that later. But here's from the article, quote, "According to a request for proposal document obtained by the Washington Free Beacon, the school district is looking for a consultant with deep knowledge and expertise in racial equity to examine the school district's culture, hiring practices, and pre-K-12 curriculum. The document requests that consultants investigate whether the district's curriculum strengthens students' sense of racial, ethnic, and tribal identities, helps them understand and resist systems of oppression, and empower students to see themselves as change agents. It also asks if the district is taking a sufficiently protective approach to issues of implicit bias, even though the racial makeup of the district is majority-minority," unquote. Great stuff there. So, first of all, let me see. So, okay. So first of all, what they're wanting to do is strengthen racial, ethnic, and tribal identities. That's lovely. All right, that's great stuff there, guys. So, very much divisive there, and they want to take a proactive approach to issues of implicit bias, whatever those may supposedly be. And again, district is not majority white, it is majority minority. Montgomery County, Maryland, I believe that is near the DC area, I think. So that kind of makes sense. So, yeah. All right. What are we at here? We're about 9 minutes. That's fine. Cool. So, I'd like to talk about something else too. Something else that's been on my mind recently. The school system's always on my mind, and as I said, they could really use themselves as an example for a system of oppression if you're really looking at just look in the mirror. But they will never do that. Because they're the good guys. The school system is they're in it for the little guy. They're in it for the students. They're gonna help the students. It'll be great stuff. But I'd like to talk about today basically how the school system So we've talked a lot about how they dumb you down, right? Through the math, through literacy, they rip apart the family. They rip apart any real culture other than this depraved, hedonistic culture, and all that stuff. But basically, what this all does is keep you as you stay mentally a child for theoretically your whole life, because the school system does not awaken any kind of intellect. The school system will never make you smarter. The tests will never make you smarter. Nothing they do is meant to make you smart. The school system was built to be about memorizing pure information and being disciplined and conformed, which is not particularly good in a lot of ways, but it wasn't as bad as it could be. But then in the last 100 years, we've moved into the very murky, creepy grounds of experimental psychology and eugenics and these other concepts, which are not about learning, they're about perfecting you. And in the view of the elites, and this may continue to this day, but in the view of the elites, in order for one to be perfected, one of the prerequisites is that they must be mentally a child. They must be sheep, in a sense. It must be sheep. And most people, they are sheep, basically. They go with whatever the crowd is doing. And that's because of the school system. Because the school system keeps you a child mentally. They're meant to extend childhood theoretically to the grave. Now, a lot of times as you get older, you get a lot more experience that the school system would never give you. And you maybe grow out of that. But for most of your life, the school system wants to keep you a child. You keep buying these new products. You keep going to these special events. You just keep doing the same stuff because you know nothing better, because you are a sheep and you are mentally a child. Just look at some of the people who run our society. Look at some of these people in Congress. Gosh, they're dumb. Maybe that's the thing with politicians, but the people, especially the younger you get, but the people in Congress are dumb. But that's just a reflection on our country, and maybe politics attracts the worst kind of people in general, but we're not all that smart. Nobody except for the few who escape it all invents, and a few innovative people. But most people don't invent anything. They don't think any new ideas. They just consume whatever the media gives them, like zombies. We consume it all. We never look out for any other kind of point of view. You know, it's just CNN, MSNBC, ABC if you're liberal. If you're conservative, it's Fox. Well, I mean, that is about it, but it's Fox, Breitbart, whatever. But you never do your own research. You never write your own script. You're always in this constant trail of mainstream media, which does not have your best interests at heart. And by the way, if you go back, the media was infiltrated by the same people that infiltrated the school system. Some of the same people infiltrated the media. You had people like Edward Bernays writing about mass media manipulation. You had the Frankfurt School, Herbert Marcuse, which came to America to Columbia University. They infiltrated the media as well as the school system through Columbia, their Frankfurt School. They infiltrated the whole media operation. So the media is meant to keep you a child. Same thing with the culture. The culture is literally getting dumber. If you look at, for instance, song lyrics, they've gotten dumber. They're all the same. None of these songs actually sound any different. They're just a trail of dribble, of nothingness. Everything's gotten dumber. I say probably deliberately to a large extent. Some of it's stupidity and incompetence and ignorance, but a lot of it's deliberate. Because you had these men in the early 20th century, Rockefeller, Carnegie, Ford, and the great capitalist, industrialist families, and they wanted that servile class. They wanted that class of people who would be sheep, who would buy the newest iPhone, even though there's a better option, or they don't need one, but they would buy the newest products, the shiny new products that would use their services or goods. So they wanted, and that's why they colluded, quite frankly, with the socialists, with John Dewey and his socialists and the Frankfurt School, because they both wanted the people to be sheep, to follow whatever they wanted, to extend their childhood to the grave, to have them kids through their adolescence, through their teenage years, to their 20s, and to the grave. Because when the people start to think for themselves, it's all over for you. I mean, that's why the American Revolution, because people started to think for themselves. They didn't follow whatever the media said, in a lot of cases. They didn't follow what the British media said, but now we follow it. And that's starting to change, granted. But somebody's got to do something about this. I'm still trying to figure out what to do here. I'm kind of racking my brain all the time, but I think a big part of it is taking back the school boards, because the county boards of education, the school boards of education, if those still exist for just the school, but you need to take back the boards of education, because they can make real changes to some extent. There have been attempts to reintroduce phonics. Somebody needs to create like a PAC or something, a political action committee. And I don't know if you need a new party for that or something, but somebody has to take back the school boards and the county boards, because that's what you do. And thankfully, most of them are elected now, so you don't have to do nearly as much political maneuvering to get the job. I don't know if the governor still used to appoint them or what, but a lot of them are elected now. So you only got to flip like 70,000 seats. That's it. That's all you got to do, right? That's all you got to do. It's just 70,000. That's easy. It's nothing to it. There's nothing to it. And then I think what you have to do is you have to start a Turning Point USA like. No, I'm not really a fan of Turning Point. I don't know how many you know what they are, but they style themselves as a conservative, sort of libertarian group that goes around, that has chapters all around the country in high schools and colleges, and they promote their ideology. And what you have to have is something like that, which would be a lot more populist than Turning Point, because that's what you have to do. But you have to get to the kids, because we've been trying to get to the parents for 40 years, 40, 50, 60 years. And granted, we have gotten to many, you have homeschooling, you have parents that teach their kids how to read at home. So granted, there's been some success at that, but it hasn't been enough. And I don't necessarily see why I or anyone else that comes around would be any different. However, if you get to the people that are currently suffering under the system in the schools, if you get to those people, you might have something. You might have I don't know if you have chapters. It would be a very controversial organization, don't get me wrong. But you could have that potentially. Potentially you might have that, where there's students that are part of this organization, which is against the public school system, and which is sort of populist in nature, where you're appealing to these kids, which are suffering They're having their intellect and their creativity eroded every single day, that they're forced to sit in these awful places, these terrible, evil, sadist places. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking aloud here. I don't know if you can tell, but there are some options that you have if somebody, maybe me, wants to go about this. There are some options that you have to do this, and then of course there is a new media that exists, a new media which could change some things, and you have a lot of smaller platforms and then you have YouTube, where there's a lot of independent channels that are currently being squashed by YouTube, but hopefully that'll change soon or something. Like, hopefully, President will do something about that. I don't know, but YouTube is not going along with it very well. But there are a lot of new things new media on YouTube, so that's pretty cool, both on the left and the right. That's pretty cool. But that's about it for today. So, thank you very much for listening. If you've made it this far, you can check out the episode before this one that I think you will find very, very interesting, and hopefully quite motivating. That's really what the goal is: to motivating and also disciplined. Find it quite make you a little more disciplined, because that's really the key to all of this. Discipline is kind of the key to freedom, in my humble opinion. But anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. You can email me, jbstillshow@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media down in the description. I never use it, but I have to have it. And yeah, so, until next time, I've been your host, JB. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.